What's happening, racing fans? Welcome back to the channel, brought to you in association with betting.co.uk. I'm your host, Ginger Joe, and I'm back again with something a little bit different for you in this episode. With less than 10 weeks to go now until the Cheltenham Festival in March, I've managed to gather some of your favourite pundits and favourite tipsters from across the YouTube and Twitter platforms to come together for one episode to bring you an Ante-Post selection each for the spectacle in March. Now, whether you're a regular to my channel or a newbie, welcome back to the channel, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And by hitting subscribe, you do get free entry into my monthly prize draws, where we give away one racehorse share and 3 free £10 bets just for supporting the cause. Now, thank you to everyone in advance that has got involved in this video, and I'm going to pop everybody's links in the description below. So everybody tuning in, please do go and follow everyone that has gotten involved in this video as well. But I'll kick us off with our very first Ante-Post selection, and it comes in the National Hunt Chase for the Coldwell Construction team. I like Chemical Energy at 9-1. I really like the way he's gone about his business so far. A real big imposing type who's taken to chases particularly well. He won on seasonal debut over at Listowel over 2 miles, which is miles shorter than we thought would be adequate for him. However, he still managed to get the job done before bolting up at Cheltenham on his first try over 3 miles. That was on the old course, and I think that's quite significant that he's going to come back with that experience. He looked like he could have actually gone round again that day, so I've got no problem with him staying the trip come March. I think he's going to be ridden again from the outside of the track, just in search of a little bit of better ground. But I think the further he goes, the better he goes, and he's a really solid jumper as well. And he's definitely not going to be 9-1 come the day. At the moment, you can actually get 3 places available in the National Hunt Chase at 9-1, and for a race that seems to cut up quite a lot. And with this guaranteed to be Chemical Energy's target, 9-1 each way in the National Hunt Chase for me is going to be a real solid bet to kick us off.
Hi guys, my Ante-Post selection for the 2023 Cheltenham Festival as it stands comes in the Mare's Chase on the final day, and it's a mare that's just recently won at Fairyhouse only a couple of days ago in Scarlet and Dove, who is currently 7-1 best price. I still think that's a shade of value, to be honest, against 2 younger and perhaps more progressive rivals that are ahead of her in the betting. But at the same stage, Allegory Devassy's only ran the once over fences, Impervious only twice over fences, and they do have to go and prove it. Scarlet and Dove brings the known form to the table, finished a very close third in the race last year, when arguably very unlucky. If she hadn't fluffed the last, I think she would have won. She turned the tables on Annie May after that, and she usually comes on for a run, so I was very, very impressed that she was able to beat Dalcheat at Fairyhouse on Sunday last, and therefore I think she'll continue to come forward, because I don't think she would have been 100% for that run. Joseph O'Brien's having a wonderful time of things. Brian Cooper is a rejuvenated man in the saddle, and Gigginstown will want festival winners. Scarlet and Dove, 7-1 for the Mare's Chase.
Hello, this is Alex here from the Cheltenham Exchange, and Joe's asked me to come on and give a selection for the Cheltenham Festival 2023. Now, the horse I'd like to put up is called Salvador Ziggy, and he'll be running in the Pertemps Handicap Hurdle, currently a best price of around 20-1. If you look back at his most recent run, which was at Cheltenham as well, back in October, he finished 4th, only beating 4 lengths to Shoot First. Now, Shoot First is currently 9-2, 4-1 joint/second favourite for the Pertemps Ante-Post. And Salvador Ziggy was only beaten 4 lengths by him. And also, Shoot First has gone up £8 in the handicap since. The horse that was second that day, Botox Hass, has gone up £10, and the horse in third, Anti-Year, has also gone up £3. To me, I think the 20-1 currently on offer is an absolute steal, and I'll be happy to get stuck in. Best of luck with your bets.
Hello viewers, and hello Ginger Joe. My name's Beau McGrail. I'm here to give you an Ante-Post selection for the Cheltenham Festival. Mine comes in the champion bumper. His name is Chapeau de Soleil, and he's currently 8-1. I thought he was pretty impressive the last day. He kind of was really awkward, and then when the penny dropped, he flew home. He was second behind Better Days Ahead, who I think might be Gordon's best bumper horse this season. If they met again, I'd fancy him to turn the tables quite drastically. And Willie Mullins knows a thing or two about winning the race. He's won it in the last 3 years. So I think this is Willie's best. I think it's the best in his yard. And 8-1, I think, is a pretty fair price, to be honest.
Hello, Andrew here from the Finish Line podcast, and I'm here to give you my Ante-Post selection for the 2023 Cheltenham Festival. Now, look, obviously this year the anti-post markers have been atrocious, and there's, I think, 3 odds-on favourites. But one who I think will be a lot shorter if he goes here. Now, this is a big if, but it's a price I think it's worth taking a chance on. It's Jerry Cologne for the National Hunt Chase at 14 to 1. Now, he has to obviously qualify for this race. He has to run the 3-mile chase between now and the Cheltenham Festival. There is 2 coming up in the next 3 to 4 weeks in Ireland. And if he runs in one of them, I think his price will contract just for being entered, at least. And if he goes and wins, look, the Brown Advisory is obviously the main aim if he wants to go there. But if he is ground dependent, as everyone thinks he is, then the race on the Tuesday might be the best option for him. Ground is going to be minimum good to soft in places on the first day. They're never going to leave it be a fast ground for the first day of the festival. And I think 3 mile, 6 furlongs around Cheltenham, stride slower, will negate that kind of ground dependent, and it's not the best race in the world. If you consider that Galliard de Mesnil might actually not run here, might run in the Brown Advisory after winning at Leopardstown over Christmas, that throws the race wide open. Look, we know he has chemical energy in there already, Gordo. But I think this horse would relish this trip, would relish the challenge of a 4-miler. And look, it's a race that's been thrown up very good horses over the last few years. Like Statler last year, he was touched off by Indo over Christmas, getting £8. I think Native River ran it before. There's been a loads. Tiger Roll won it. Annabelle Fly has been placed in Gold Cups, ran in it. He actually won it, I think. But yeah, Jerry Cologne, 14 to 1 for the National Hunt Chase is my anti-post selection.
Happy New Year, everyone. Joe from J Morrison, bringing my very best bet for the Cheltenham Festival. Now, it's going to come in the Ryanair, and I think Fakir Dudoy at 12 to 1 can finally step out the shadow of Allaher, who hasn't been seen on the track for a long time. He is a major fitness concern ahead of this race, and I think Fakir Dudoy might be able to pick up the pieces and be the best of the rest in the absence of Allaher. He was second in this race in 2021 and he's won 4 Grade 1s. He's got plenty of ability and just looks a natural specialist over this trip. With the question marks over Allaher, I do think this might have been the long-term target. He made a pleasing enough comeback behind Galopin de Champs, although he did make a few too many mistakes. If he bushes up on his jumping, I can see him winning a huge race at 12 to 1 in a race that is made for him. Fakir Dudoy at 12 to 1 for me.
Thank you very much for having me on. My anti-post selection is Salvador Ziggy at 25 to 1 each way for the Potemps. The reason why I quite like this horse is he moved to Gordon Elliott in the summer, won a couple of races. They were novice events. Plenty of winners have come out of those races since. He then ran against Home by the Lee over 2.5 miles. Ronald Pump was also in the field. Home by the Lee did run out 2 out, but I thought he was beaten by Salvador Ziggy. He then obviously went on to win the Liz Mullen, beating Bob Ollinger. He then won the Grade 1 over 3 miles at Christmas at Leopardstown, so that form is really nice. Salvador Ziggy then went to Cheltenham in October and finished 4th in the Potemps qualifier. You have to finish the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th to qualify this year. It doesn't go up to 6, but he did the job. The first was Shoot First, who's quite fancy for the final. The second was Botox Has. He went and won a Grade 3 handicap hurdle at Haydock. He's clearly better than his mark that day. And Salvador Ziggy was dropped a pound. He's now back up a pound, and he goes straight to the Potemps. 25 to 1 each way. I think it was an interesting each way poke, and hopefully he can provide the goods.
Hello, Joe, and thank you very much for having me on the channel. Really looking forward to talking about a few fancies for the Cheltenham Festival. Of course, they're not set in stone. We've got plenty of time to go until the big event in March. These are free horses, and yes, free. I'm going to be cheating a little bit that I'm looking forward to ahead of March. The first is Good Land for Barry Connell. He ran the main hurdle over 2.5 miles at Christmas at Leopardstown. Really like the way he put aside Tagman there, the way he quickened up around the bend, and 16 to 1 for the Albert Bartlett would be interesting to me at this current stage. Common Practice for the Boodles, runs in JP McManus's colours, was 4th in Lozzie Mouse debut over in Ireland for Willie Mullins. Thought he travelled with a lot of promise. If he could sort his jumping out, he could be a live one for the Boodles. That's 25 to 1. And my main fancy, despite Daryl Jacobs' comments said he could be more of a Turner's type. I think in a wide open market, James de Burley for the Brown Advisory is probably what I'm hanging my hat on the most. 10 to 1 current price. I was on at a bigger price earlier on, but yeah, I think James de Burley's got a cracking chance for the Brown Advisory if he goes there, because of course Mighty Potter wins the Turners if he goes to the Turners. Thank you very much, Joe, for having me on, and have a good season for the rest of the Jumps campaign.
Hello everyone, Ian here from the Cheltenham Exchange. Big thank you to Ginger Joe, who's invited me onto his show. My anti-post pick, I'm looking to go with a bit of value each way, and I'm going to pick Zambella in the Mayor's Chase. Now, Zambella in her first run was second behind Fantastic Lady over 3 miles, which she tried several times with Zambella over her career. But since then, her next 2 runs, she's dropped back in the distance to 2 mile 5, and she's won 2 Class 1 races. One at Carlisle and one at Doncaster. Now, my thinking is at 12 to 1, she's going to be a good each way price. Allegory Devassy's been good on her first run. Scotland Dove the same. So I'm sure she'll be fighting as well to win for the places as well. She was only 4 lengths behind Ellie May in last year's festival. So I expect her to run that bit better and hopefully be the British hope for this year. So just to confirm my pick, Zambella, Mayor's Chase, each way, 12 to 1. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and my name is Sean, and I'm from the Finishing Line podcast. As you may know, my Cheltenham Festival 2023 Ante Post selection will come in the Mayor's Novices Hurdle, and it'll be Ashrow Diamond for William Mullins at a price of 6 to 1. Our first run this season came at Maiden Hurdle, where she was caught in behind and didn't get the cleanest runs, and it might have looked workmanlike, but I thought it was very good in the end. She was then stepped up in class to the Grade 1 in the Royal Bond Novices Hurdle, where she ran a smashing race to come toward. She ran behind horses like Marine National, Irish Point and Champ Kiley, and I think that's definitely the strongest form we've seen this season for a mare running in that. She then ran at Christmas behind Facile Vega, where I think she was given an educational ride for me now. She was held up off the pace, and a Mayor's Novices Hurdle, which is often ran at a held up pace, she definitely will learn a lot from that race. She came home and finished strong. Definitely could have got closer for me. I think a market where there's other horses in there that I don't think have shown the level of her form, I think Ashrow Diamond at a price of 6 to 1 is a great bet.
Hi Joe, my current anti-post selection for the Cheltenham Festival is First Street in the County Hurdle for Nicky Henderson, in which he can be backed at 14 to 1 non-runner no bet, or as big as 20 to 1 elsewhere in places. Now, First Street's had a strong season. He won the Jerryfield and given lumps of weight to the field, and ran creditably only recently in the Relco Hurdle behind none other than Maurice Rock. First Street has a strong appreciation for big field handicaps. He ran second in the County Hurdle last year behind none other than State Man, who has gone on to frank the form in Ireland this season, winning the Matheson and Morgiana Hurdle, and is currently second favourite in the Champion Hurdle market. First Street also ran well in the Betfair Hurdle last year, finishing third behind Glory and Fortune, who also ran well in the Champion Hurdle last season as well. Nicky Henderson doesn't have a good record in the race, however, has had 2 horses recently carry big weights to second place finishes in We Have a Dream and Lammy Surge. I think that First Street can carry on the trend and run a big race at Cheltenham, and therefore he is my selection.
Hi, it's Scott Rudderham here. Thank you to Ginger Joe Racing, for asking me to do a quick preview of one of my anti-post picks for the 23 season. My pick is going to be for the Turner's Novices Chase at the festival, and my pick is Mighty Potter. Mighty Potter is a very good horse jumping-wise. He won a couple of Grade 1s last season, notably at Punchestown on his last run. And his first run this season at Down Royal, I thought he was a bit shaky, I didn't think he jumped that well. But then he really proved himself and did something I didn't think he'd do. And it was jumped really well, quite straight at Fairy House. Albeit all of his best performances are right-handed, I think his win at Fairy House is the best piece of Novice Chase form on offer this season so far, either side of the Irish Sea. His one run at Cheltenham in the Supreme was not great last season, but I'm going to give Mighty Potter a chance. And at 7 to 2, I think he posts good value for the Turner's Novices Chase, and I think he'll win it this year for Gordon Elliott.
Hi, John here from the Cheltenham Exchange with an anti-post tip for the Ginger Joe Racing Show. With little value in a lot of the Grade 1 markets, I have turned to the Mayor's Hurdle, where I think Love Envoi still has a bit of juice in the price at 8 to 1. Marie's Rock is the current favourite for the race, but I just can't seem to get that horse right. Brandy Love is the only horse ever to beat Love Envoi, but her absence this season so far has cast doubts in my mind of returning up in March. The form of Love Envoir's last race has turned out pretty well, with Playful Saint and Nayati coming out and winning since. I think based on this form, she can be thereabouts at the finish at the festival, and it's my selection. Thanks to Joe for having me on. Good luck to everyone.
Evening, Joe. So my first Ante-Post pick for your selection screens comes in the Turner's Novice Chase, and it is Mighty Potter, the favourite, currently priced at 4-1, best price with Bet365. I think his win in the Drimore certainly stands out as the best form in this division. And looking at the market, most of the market is based around Willie Mullins' novices, but most of them either have only run over 2 miles or haven't even been seen yet, in the case of Sir Gerhard, which I don't believe will run this year. So therefore I think standout 4-1 Mighty Potter looks a decent bet, and that's my first Ante-Post bet for the year.
Hi, it's Dec here from the OSL podcast. My Ante-Post selection is Vivardi Deschamps for the Albert Bartlett, currently available at 14-1. He may be an 8-year-old now, but the race has been won by an 8-year-old before, and you know what I mean, Harry. Vivardi Deschamps showed some decent bumper form going back as far as 2019, finishing ahead of the likes of Run for Oscar and Gabinaco. He has had his troubles since then and missed some time. His maiden hurdle came in defeat to Jinx of Light, but this could have been really good form, and we don't really know, as Jinx of Light has had his own trouble since. This season, however, he's been absolutely flawless, winning 3 from 3, most notably the Grade 2 at Limerick over Christmas, which has produced many winners of this race. I think this horse has all the qualities needed for this really unique test on novice hurdlers, and I think his age could actually stand for him.
Hi everyone, the Racing Boyo here. I've been asked by Ginger Joe for a Ante-Post selection for the Cheltenham Festival. We're about 10 weeks away now from the start of the festival, and even though we've got quite a few short price favourites already in the markets, there's a bit of value still to be had in a few races, I think. And the race I'm looking for a bit of value is the Brown Advisory. A few weeks ago, the race was still 10-1 the field, and even the racing over the Christmas period hasn't really cleared the market up. With the favourite at the moment, Gaila Dumenil, more than likely to run in the National Hunt Chase. So my selection for the Brown Advisory is Jerry Colombe at 8-1. He's already a Grade 1 winner over fences. He won at Limerick over Christmas. He stays really well. He jumps well. He only just does enough. I know a lot of people think that he will need soft ground or very heavy ground to be at his best at Cheltenham. But over 3 miles, I think he'll be fine. You need to stay well for the Brown Advisory. And yeah, I think at 8-1, Jerry Colombe is my Ante-Post selection for the Cheltenham Festival.